Welcome to Improving Sales Performance, a podcast highlighting tips and insights aimed at helping sales organizations realize and maybe even exceed their goals. Here, we chat with thought leaders, experts, and gurus who have years of sales experience from a wide range of industries. I'm your host, Matt Sunshine, CEO at the Center for Sales Strategy, a sales performance consulting company. In this episode, we're discussing the benefits of having an AI task force at your company and how such a brain trust can be an invaluable resource to ensure that your organization stays ahead of the curve. Joining me to explore it all is Brent Tripp, Digital Marketing Coordinator and podcast producer here at CSS. Brent offers some solid points to think about, like why it's essential for everyone at the organization to have a firm grasp on how AI tools function and what they can help you accomplish. How having an AI task force at your company can help you make decisions and provide recommendations as new tech innovations become available. And finally, why, if your organization is reluctant to embrace AI tools, you just might be missing out on an opportunity to compete with larger teams. With that, let's jump into the conversation. So, can you break down the top reasons why the AI task force was developed here at CSS?
Of course. I mean, I think, and let me know if I'm missing anything, but I think the AI task force was really born out of a desire to really ensure that CSS as an organization was, staying on top of the rapidly developing AI tools that were coming out at the time. So just a little background. The task force was developed back in late winter, early spring of last year when ChatGPT first made like its big splash. It kind of entered the public consciousness. And the tool itself had been around for a minute, but it was around that time last year that people really kind of caught on to what it could do and what it's capable of. So, and at that time too, which it's kind of still the case today, ChatGPT, that was the name on everyone's lips, but there were so many other tools that were coming out. It was like a never-ending avalanche. So I think mainly the goal for the overarching goal was for us to kind of like go out there, see what is out there, and just make sure that we were staying ahead of the curve as best as we could, trying to keep up pace all these different tools that were coming out.
Yeah, there's that expression that I know we throw around sometimes that, you can do anything, you just can't do everything. And I think that was when all the AI was happening so fast, it was like, okay, well, what should we do? Well, we can do all that, but what should we do?
Exactly. And not to mention that like every other day there was a new name you heard, right? Like first it was ChatGPT, and then you're hearing Bard. Now Bard is Gemini, and you're hearing this and that. And you're like, okay, well, what is it? Is it the same thing? Why is it a different name? Has it have a different focus? So yeah, it was. It's hard to do everything. You can't do everything. So
what were, as the AI task force got together, what were the primary goals and objectives when the task force first was established?
Yeah, so when we first started, I think there were three solid goals that we kind of kept in mind. The first was really kind of, as I mentioned just previously, to identify, research, test what exactly was out there. We wanted to help, answer the question of what was available to us. And so we kind of divided and conquered in that way, kind of looking at all these different tools that were out there and seeing like, okay, we're hearing these names. We know what ChatGPT can do. What else is out there? That was number one. Number two, we wanted to come back with recommendations of specific tools that not only were practical, but kind of aligned with our goals here at CSS. What tools made the most sense for everything we do here? What tools can make us work smarter, not harder? Kind of casting a wide net, seeing collecting everything, seeing what makes sense, tossing out what didn't. That was number 2. And then 3, we wanted to, from the entire process, come back and educate and support everyone here at CSS as, they folded these tools into their processes and strategies. And I think we wanted people to feel confident when testing these tools out. We wanted to make sure they felt confident and okay to test these tools out, to use these tools out. Because, when these tools first started coming out, it all felt very foreign to a lot of people. People didn't know exactly what all this stuff was. Even the name, like, we're so used to the name Chat GPT now. But at the time, people were like, Chat, what is a GPT? People couldn't even say it. And so we wanted to make sure that everyone here at CSS was educated and felt confident that, like, oh, this is exactly what it does. I can put this in, get this out, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point that you bring up. Is today, almost everyone has heard of ChatGPT, whether they've been on it or not, whether they've experimented, depends on their curiosity level and those sorts of things.
Exactly.
Pretty much everyone has heard of it or knows someone that has heard of it.
Right.
When the task force started a year and a half ago, whatever it was, there were plenty of people, certainly in our company, certainly in my circles, that had not even heard of it, that were like, what are you talking about? Like, it was a science fiction movie. Right? This wasn't a household name. So I like the fact that there were specific goals and objectives that the task force said, this is what we're going to do. This is what we're trying to accomplish. So as you started finding these new tools, how did the task force go about investigating and testing? And how did collaborating with colleagues from different divisions and different departments in the company, how did that enhance or improve or challenge the task force?
Yeah, so I'll start with the second part of your question first. Aside from any of like the tangible AI results we got, it was just fun because, we are, for anyone who might not know, we are entirely a remote organization. And I think we already do a really great job of making it feel like we work shoulder to shoulder with our colleagues. But fact of the matter is like, there are people that I don't work with every day. There's people I don't see that often, even in a virtual sense. So just being able to like connect with and see people from other departments that I may not have worked with before that was a fun experience. But segueing into the actual results that we found and the benefits of that, like multi-departmental brain trust, if you will, it was like so cool, and it made me so like honored in a sense to like work with people. Like I know that everyone that at CSS that we work with, everyone here is like the best, so smart. But just having this multi-department brain trust just made me feel like, wow, like we work with some really smart people. And I know that because like I'm here talking about the AI task force today, but I'll be the first to tell you, I did a lot more listening in those meetings than talking a lot of the times, because there were people that were far more educated in the realm of AI than I was at the time. And there were just so many great ideas put forth, so many great use cases. So that really having everyone from different departments directly influenced how we went about researching all the tools that are out there. So pretty much what we did is we divided and conquered. I went off and kind of looked at all the tools available through the lens of the marketing department. What use cases made sense to kind of make our processes more efficient? What can enhance our strategies as a marketing team? Trey went off and looked at different tools to see how these things could benefit the sales process, benefit our clients, our sales training. Kate went off and looked at how these tools can benefit the talent and up your culture teams. And Aisha, she went off and looked at these tools through the lens of serving Lead G2's clients and how they can optimize, B2B sales and marketing performance. So we kind of all went off on our own. And that's only to name a few, by the way, just a few right. People in the task force. But we all went off on our own, looked at these tools through our own like departmental lenses, and came back and kind of threw things at each other. And so I'd come back, for example, and say like, hey, I found this cool thing. It does X, Y, and Z. And I think that would be great for A, B, and C for the marketing department. And Trey might be like, oh, that's really cool. But I could also see how we could use that in A, B, and C with our clients here at Center for Sales Strategy. So it was really a really cool way to collaborate. And we all found different things, and it was awesome. It was really great.
Yeah, I would say that we certainly as a company did then and have now embraced an AI mentality, right? I don't think that we're scared of the technology. I think we embrace that. That does not mean that we adopt every single AI that is out there.
Exactly.
But it does mean that we are open to looking to see how AI could help us to improve. With that said, can you give me or can you share a specific example of perhaps a recommendation that the task force had and what it looks like today in action? Have we implemented it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I think the first thing that I'd say is I think I've already mentioned it a little bit, but I think we did a pretty good job, at least, both for the entire organization, also in our own individual teams, kind of like educating everyone in terms of how they can practically use these tools in their everyday responsibilities, everyday duties. So when I know I've already kind of talked about this a little bit, but there was a certain intimidation factor. People didn't know what this was. There was a certain leeriness. It's like, what? That this tool takes something that I tell and it can generate an entire workflow of emails for me in 2 seconds. Like I don't know about that. So I think we did a good job of kind of mitigating any of that leeriness, any of that intimidation factor that may have been present in some of our team members. May not have been. I don't know, because we're like you said, we're very forward thinking in this way. So we did a good job of educating, but we also, I think one of the main takeaways that we spread throughout the company, and people probably are familiar with this by now, I think it's still relevant, even though it might sound cliche, is we emphasize that, these tools are capable of absolutely amazing things, but we should not rely on them completely.
That's right.
There's, you can't expect just to input something, get something out and be like, okay, but that's it. My job's done. These tools are here to make us better at what we do, not replace what we do. Right. And so there has to be a human touch involved in this process. Because if it's just AI, I can tell you just from having reviewed so many different AI tools and AI generated content, it is beyond obvious to me these days whenever there's something that is just raw AI that was slapped up on the internet. Like they all have different or familiar ways, I should say, of phrasing sentences, the certain words they use that are very familiar. So it's very obvious whenever you do not edit and do not add your own personal touch to things that AI generates. So that's a big thing we recommended. Another thing that we kind of hammered home, and it's still an evolving process, is your prompts matter. I feel like when ChatGPT first came out, I'm saying ChatGPT a lot, but that's just like,
right. It's ubiquitous. Yeah.
It's ubiquitous, and it's kind of like the basis of what spawned all these different evolutions. But when tools like that first came out, if someone were curious and they're like, oh, let's see what this is about, and they typed in a simple prompt, like write me an email that does this, does A, B, and C, it might not generate a great response for you. You might be like, well, okay, I mean, it's an email, but it's not specific. It doesn't, well, you didn't write a specific prompt, So we kind of hammered home how you prompt these things matters, and prompting AI tools is an art form in and of itself to this day. And the last thing, the most tangible, and I certainly can't take credit for this idea, but the initial concept of what would become the Center for Sales Strategies Sales Accelerator AI tool was born out of the AI task force meetings. And for those who don't know, Sales Accelerator AI is our own tool here at CSS. It helps salespeople, refine their valid business reasons, create really great sales emails to prospects. It generates awesome, thought-provoking questions for needs analysis meetings. Almost any aspect of a salesperson's daily routine, Sales Accelerator AI can help them work smarter and faster in that way. And what's different between Sales Accelerator AI and, let's say, Gemini or ChatGPT is that Sales Accelerator AI is a closed tool, which means it's trained exclusively on our own proprietary information here at CSS, our own training resources, that kind of thing, versus Gemini, which scours the entire internet to give you a result. So without the task force, we might not have reached that idea as quickly or at all. So that's kind of the most tangible result from the task force.
Yeah, I agree with that. Exactly. I don't know if we would have come up with that idea, or certainly not as fast as we came up with it. That was such a clear, unanimous, very well thought out idea that the task force had, where a problem was identified, a solution was identified, everything had been thought out. And I remember when the AI task force made that presentation, it was one of those moments that I think changes the course of history for the company. It was, boy, this is the right thing to do right now. We need to put resources behind it to make it happen. And I think from the moment that the task force made that presentation and everyone agreed it was the right thing to do, to the moment it launched, 6 months?
Yeah, maybe not even.
I mean, we put resources behind it and we built it, and it's still, I think, certainly one of the shining stars. So whether a company leans in, as you've been describing, to AI with something like a task force or some other version of that, or they lean out and say, you know what, we're not participating in any of this. We're going to be we're going to be on the sidelines and just watch, influences the culture of the business. How has the AI task force influenced the company culture with regard to its approach on innovation? Do you think it's made an impact?
I think so. I mean, and I think the main way it's made an impact is that it's deepened and maybe emphasized a certain mindset that I think we kind of already have as an organization. And you said it earlier, which is curiosity, right? And I think we already do a great job of thinking about what are the best ways we can adapt as an organization. What are the best ways we can evolve to do the best work possible? And I think the AI task force, just the very existence of the AI task force, kind of communicated that message throughout the organization. And one thing that I really appreciate is, like, personally, one of my goals in life is to always stay curious about absolutely everything, because it's so easy to resort to judgment or raising your eyebrow and skepticism of something that's new and like, what? I don't know. It can do what? I don't think that's right for us. I don't, it just, you instantly just clam up, I feel like, whenever judgment enters the picture. And that's on a personal level, or on an organizational level. If there's this newfangled, AI craze, well, you want to know whether it's real or whether it's hype. And, if you have a company that's willing to lean into that, to investigate that, and to report back, I think it just kind of transmits the fact that, yes, we're a curious organization, and our curiosity will always be a part of what drives us. And so I think that I think it did a good job of transmitting that to everybody.
Yeah. Last question for you is, I know when people listen to this, there are going to be plenty of people out there that are like, wow, I think we should do that at our company. Like, that would be a good thing for us to do. And so what advice would you give to other organizations, other businesses who maybe haven't fully explored all the capabilities that AI, all the AI tools out there and all the different capabilities that AI has? What advice would you give to them?
Well, I'd say that it's not too late to explore these tools, because there are businesses out there for whatever reasons that are still kind of resistant to using these tools. There's a myriad of reasons. But I'd say it's worth exploring them, because people far smarter than me have said this, and I couldn't agree more. I feel like we're living in a window of time where smaller teams, smaller companies all of a sudden have the capabilities to compete with much larger teams, much larger companies. And I don't know if this little window of time is going to last forever. I don't think it's going to last forever. But the sooner you investigate these tools, the sooner you figure out what tools can work best for you and what your organization is doing, the sooner you can compete with those much bigger teams. Yeah. And the sooner you can make a 3-person team have the productivity of a 10, 15-person team. So I think we're living in that moment right now, and the opportunity is there for the taking. And if, I'm in no way trying to toot our own horn at all, but I think if organizations are out there that haven't fully explored these tools for whatever reason, I say maybe try an AI task force. You don't have to publicize everybody. Just connect a few different people together at your company, see if they're interested in exploring these things, and see what they report back. They may report back and you may find things that aren't right for you. That's cool. But they may report back and you may find out that you can create your very own tool or something, or completely change how you do these different operations and stuff. So yeah, we're living in a window of time that you can compete against much bigger companies and bigger teams, and it's there for the taking if you want it.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. Very, very well said. Brent, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing with us your perspective of the AI task force from someone who was a big part of the AI task force. So thanks for doing that, and thanks for being a guest on the show. For anybody that wants to get in contact with Brent's information will be in the show notes. You can email him there or connect with him on LinkedIn there. And I know Brent well enough to know that anyone that reaches out will certainly get a response. We're always like to be helpful. And with that, I just want to thank everybody for listening and for joining us. And we look forward to seeing you on our next episode of the Improving Sales Performance podcast. This has been Improving Sales Performance. Thanks for listening. If you like what you heard, join us every week by clicking the subscribe button. For more on the topics covered in the show, visit our website, thecenterforsalesstrategy.com. There, you can find helpful resources and content aimed at improving your sales performance.